On September 17, 2011, a few hundred people took over a square in downtown Manhattan, hoping to hold a 2-week encampment. That encampment grew to become the international Occupy movement, uniting the, quote, 99% and challenging the greed of Wall Street and the 1% who profit. On Occupy's one-year anniversary, thousands took to the streets, leading marches throughout the financial district in New York City and retaking Zuccotti Square. Many of the original occupiers who lived in the park last fall were back in the streets, protesting for the anniversary and rebuttaling claims that Occupy Wall Street was dead.
I've been with OWS since October. That's what brought me the most, because I'm strong with this and I keep going with this and I won't give it up anytime soon. But we're here today. It's not so much of shutting anything down for me. It's not so much of destroying anything or yelling at the cops, fuck the police. It's more like
history for the future generation.
Yeah, it's just to make sure people know that we're here. Make sure that people know there is a group out there that are hitting all these topics that we are against. Like socioeconomic equality, the banks, so the freaking stock market.
Stop and frisk.
Stop and frisk. That's a big one here in New York.
Meeting early a.m. to greet the morning Wall Street commuters, clusters of protesters spread out throughout the financial district, targeting government institutions and financial establishments related to debt, education, environment, and labor issues.
We're out here to stick it to the banks, to make them pay a financial speculation tax, to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria around the world.
All right, and why Robin Hood?
Why Robin Hood? Because, hey, listen, we're going to help these banks. They stole our money. We're here to take it back.
We're down here, as everyone is, because something is drastically wrong with this corporate American way of life, this consumerist way of life that is exploiting not only people in the United States, but is waging wars all over the world to continue this way of life, to make sure that we can live comfortably, and it's not working.
The heavy-handed police tactics that had evicted the encampment and many of the encampments across the country resurfaced with roving squads of police and checkpoints, closing off Wall Street, the stock exchange, and other strategic locations.
They're not letting me in, even though every other cop tells you to go to Pine Street, where I am right now. Obviously, if you don't have specific ID, they're not letting you through. It must be like Germany or whatever fascist state that there was or there is. Kind of like in Palestine, how they have these checkpoints. Like, what happens if we all come out here every day? Are we going to have checkpoints every day?
Over 120 people were arrested on Monday, many in isolated snatch incidents where police grabbed 1 or 2 protesters from within the clusters who were largely marching on the sidewalks.
Everybody back up! What did I do?
Midday, the clusters all met up in Zuccotti Square, hosting drum circles, people's think tanks, and street leaders.
I want to make sure that everybody has a right to protest, and the more you make these rules and regulations about how to protest, you might actually be taking away the ability to protest. There's been no kind of change that's happened in this country that we agree with that has happened without agitation. So it's always funny to me when people are getting annoyed and calling it a nuisance when those same words have happened to everybody, whether it was the veterans fighting for the GI Bill, whether it was women's suffrage, whether it was civil rights.
While reflecting on Occupy's first birthday, protesters said the movement was maturing and growing.
I feel like our movement has finally grown up and taken a whole sort of taken a huge step forward with this action today. Not only in building a structure for horizontal nonviolent direct action work or direct action work, we're using affinity groups and spokes councils, but also learning that we can be decentralized. We don't have to do everything the same, and we can engage lots of Wall Street in many different ways. So I'm really happy with what we've done today.
A 4-day Free University has also kicked off as part of the anniversary celebration.
And the Free University started on May 1st. We had it on May Day, and it was sort of thought of as a way for professors to bring their classes. If they didn't want to cancel their classes on May Day for the general strike, they could bring their classes to Madison Square Park. And it was really successful. It just felt really good to be having classes for free outside in the park. And we're holding a whole week-long Free University starting tomorrow. And the idea is really to rethink our education system, right? To make it more accessible, to make it freer, to democratize it, to hold it outside in public, to have open classes.
Occupy Faith, a coalition of interfaith leaders, has been active since the start of Occupy Wall Street and is planning many public forums in the current months.
Well, I think when everyone looked back over last year, one of the things we thought was always the most effective was when people were sharing real stories of what happened to them with mortgage debt, housing debt, medical debt. And so when Zuccotti Park and Liberty Square was really at its peak, this is becoming a voice box for regular people to come in and share their stories. So in year 2, there's a launch of something called the Truth Commission, called the People's Investigation of Money, Debt, and Power. And the idea is to turn local faith communities, whether they're synagogues, mosques, churches, into little mini town squares where people can get up and share their stories, remove the private shame that tells you that all debt is personal, and start saying out loud that all debt is political.
With September 17th, protesters effectively showed the world that the Occupy movement has not died. In the coming months, we'll see how Occupy Wall Street will evolve and its potential to be a lasting social movement. The Real News Network, Andalusia Knoll, New York City.